All right, Mayor, for technology.
Technology work. Good evening, welcome to the Independent City Council. This is the work session. It's Tuesday, October 8th, 2024, at 6 o'clock in the evening. We have a work session scheduled today. Just for anybody online, this is the work session where staff provides information to council. We have informal conversation and no decisions will be made. We don't take any public comment or anything. It's just an information exchange with the with staff. Mr. Fisher, to you.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of the City Council. It's been a while since you've done a jurisdictional transfer here, so I wanted to kind of just give you a brief overview of what is going to happen with that. I'm not actually going to be doing it. Fred is going to be carrying it through because my department handles annexations. It's governed by ORS 373.270. There's a bunch of different reasons why you want to do jurisdictional transfers, but primarily if you have development going on in your city and you have a county road that's in your city limits or growth boundary, you want to take over the jurisdiction of that so that anybody working on the roadway or any residents along that roadway, they deal with one agency, and that's the city. You've had a chance to read the memo that I provided, and I'm just here to answer any questions you might have.
That means it was an extremely effective memo.
It's a pretty simple process.
Okay. Well, if there's no questions.
Well, I was just going to say that I live on, next to a road that was for a long time Park County and Park City. And I know how challenging that was, especially when it came to emergency services and also enforcing rules and regulations that vary literally from property to property.
Right.
So consistency is good.
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay, without objection, what we'll do is we'll just recess, we'll end the work session. And we're gonna have a number of guests coming in tonight to speak to us at 6:30. So until then, go visit amongst the people. There you go.
5 minutes, y'all, fastest work session ever. That's why I called it. Yeah, Dave's gonna be there just to sit. Yeah. So we can personally. So maybe it's changes. I think. Just. Okay. I think we're on this. Then there's in Paul's language. Oh, I see. Oh, I got it.
Yeah, probably.
No, they.
And I know.
Yeah, do the best. My buddies know this. Never go back that. Okay, Mayor, we got.
That good, Karen? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Independence City Council meeting. This is Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at 6:30 in the evening. Glad to see so many folks here today. Let the record show that councilors are here except for Councilor Schwartzler, who is not with us at the moment. For those of you who are watching, we are going to do things a little differently this evening. We have a number of invited guests for invited testimony regarding Highway 22 and 51. We will hear that input this evening, then we'll deal with the resolution. Then after that point, we're gonna have a recess, get up, wander around, and then we'll get into the regular meat of our program. So with that, we will go forward. So for a number of years, Highway 22 and 51 has been a concern, not just of this city, but everybody in the region. And there have been a lot of efforts that have been put forth. And we think it continues to be a problem. Well, we don't just think, we know it's continued to be a problem with large number of crashes, fatalities, and input and impacts on our volunteer firefighters and emergency responders. Tonight, we're going to get everybody here in the room on the record sharing their opinions. We have a representative from the Statesman who is with us. Because frankly, we don't have a lot of levers here as a small rural community to make things happen other than drawing attention to the importance of this issue. And there are other rural issues around the state that need to be addressed. So we are hoping to, by putting everybody in the same room, getting all the messages all at once, that we can help impact the folks at the state capitol who make funding decisions, both legislators and executive branch, and also some of the commissions. So that's what our goal is tonight. Yes, it's a bit of a grandstand move, but that's what we can do to try to move this project forward. So councilors, since we have invited testimony, I'm going to waive the time limits on our invited guests tonight, and they're going to make presentations, and then we'll go from there. Sound okay with everybody? Thank you, I appreciate that. So we're going to get this started with Polk County Commissioner Lyle Morghorst and ODOT Area Manager Ann Henson. I invite you both to the podium and let us know where the projects are. Start from the beginning, Commissioner, and away you go.
Oh, thanks, Mayor Cardinal and Council. I want to thank you for tonight. Highway 2251 has been going since 1990. Or excuse me, 1998, I believe. And then in 2010 became a thoroughfare. So 2010 is when the project really started moving. It ran into a little bit of hiccup when the geological studies of the state didn't coincide with what the geological of the county did. It got shelved for about 3 to 4 years. In 2019, we got together with ODOT and we challenged and we teamed up and we shared another geological study. We found out that that slide was mitigatable. We pulled it off the shelves and we've done a lot of work since that time. The relationship between ODOT and Polk County, I don't think has ever been better. They've invited myself and Austin McQuiggan, our planning developer, and Todd Bursch, our public works developer, right to their employee meetings. So when those questions come up at their employee meetings, we can answer them right then. We made a goal that when they send us an email, we'd answer within a couple of days. They would do the same thing so we could get this project moving. We've done probably about 7 years worth of work in the past 5 years. Right now, it's really close to becoming available to be sent for the EA, which is going to take about a year to 18 months. We're just finishing the value engineering process. It's got to be completed before we can do that. The EA is environmental assessment, and that will actually establish the permanent footprint of the project and to make sure we meet all of the environmental requirements. As a businessman, you make a decision today and you move along. If it doesn't work, you adjust that as you go. But the next day you can change and have that flexibility. With all of the legal requirements that ODOT has to face, that I witness now, it is very frustrating. To where all of the T's you have to cross and the I's you have to dot in order to get federal funding. I can tell you that local staff and inner staff have been working really hard. And it's a great bunch of people, but their hands are tied in some of this. As frustrating as it is, we are doing everything we can to make it happen. Right now, we're looking at some safety issues. Commissioner Polk came up with an idea right after that last death that we had at the motorcycle. Let's eliminate that left turn lane off of 51. I sent an email to Anna, she put a retired crew on it. And I'm gonna let her speak now, and she can kind of show you where it's at. So Anna?
And before you start, I want to really say thank you very much for being here. And I really appreciate the cooperative efforts between the county and us. And I want to just assure you in a public setting that we know that you and your staff travel the same highways. You have the same concerns. And so tonight, I want to make sure that you know that we're not interested in beating up on ODOT. We want to make sure, because we all have to work together. That's the only way that rural communities like us can get things done, is working with our partners. So I want to publicly say that you appreciate the relationship, and we're all trying to find solutions. And I want you to hear that. And then thank you for the next part of your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, County Commissioner Morghorst, who has been an incredible partner and champion for not only this project, but several other projects we have going on in Polk County. My name, for the records, Anna Hinton, I'm the area manager for ODOT in Region 2 here, responsible for project delivery and construction of all projects in Yamhill, Polk, and Marion County. Thanks for having me here today. As Commissioner Mormors mentioned, we have this Highway 2251 project, and we have, and I'm sorry if I'm keep going in and out, so I better stand still. I want to just give a quick update. I want to take a couple steps back and give a quick update on our larger project, which is a new interchange at 22 and 51, and kind of the steps we've gotten to date. We have picked a preferred alternative, and we have chosen the locations for the access roads for the north and south sides of Highway 22 that allows businesses and residents to access their properties from a connection at either end. And we don't need to get into that detail other than to know that one of the safety issues on this highway is all the accesses along the highway. And the turning movements are causing some problems. So the good news is, and like the commissioner mentioned, we did a value engineering study this summer. And what that is an independent study from other folks at ODOT and an outside entity to kind of take a fresh look at our project to see how we can save some money. And we also charged them with coming up with some intermediate safety solutions that we could implement for like a fundable phase without any throwaway. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'll touch on what Commissioner Morhorse mentioned about eliminating the left turns off of 51 that is more of an immediate safety fix that we can do for a pretty reasonable amount of money. So one of the intermediate solutions that came out of the value engineering study is constructing a median down Highway 22 between 22 and 51 all the way east, to the way station. And then we would allow that would include what we call J turns, so people could turn around if they needed to access a business or a driveway on the other side of the highway. That would reduce a lot of the turning conflicts that we've seen in the area. Another option is to construct a flyover, which would be not throw away from the final interchange, but a flyover where we have just like a 2-lane bridge over Highway 22. And if you were going from Highway 22 and you needed to go south to Independence, you would take that flyover. And so that removes that conflict at the intersection. Now, that has a pretty big price tag. It's probably about $40 million. The other one that I mentioned with the median barrier, and the second one with the flyover would also include the median down the middle of the highway. So 40 million for both of those, and then just the median down the highway anywhere from 12 to 14 million. So when you have a large project like we do, that's estimated at 270 million total cost, this 12 to 14 and these $40 million. I know I sound like I'm throwing numbers around like it's nothing, but it's a chunk out of that 270 that we think we could potentially get some funding for, either through grants or some other means. Okay, so thanks to Commissioner Mortimer, he came up with this idea, him and the other commissioners, to eliminate that left turn out onto 22 from 51. We think we can do that. And we would redirect that traffic to South Oak Grove. It's only about 35 cars a day that would make that move. So in a total 24-hour period, we would also, on 55th Street is right across the intersection. And we would limit that to right in, right out only and left in. So no left outs, which is also not a safe move sometimes. And it's hard to get out there. I've tried that many times. So that's what I have. And improving signage along Oregon 22. So we had our traffic engineer drive out there, and she mentioned that some signs look faded. Maybe there's too many signs out there, so we get what they call sign clutter. They're going to look at what we can do to fix that up. Maybe we have larger signs and cleaner signs. So that's kind of a short-term fix again. And, I think that's all for me. Thank you. Unless there's questions.
Okay, questions, Commissioner, do you want to add anything else?
And just one thing, Anna shared with us the numbers, the accident numbers, they just upgraded, so from 2018 to 2022, there was 154 accidents and 10 fatalities. From 2019 to 2023, there was 150 or 184 accidents, and now there's only 4 fatalities. That means 2018, 6 people lost their lives on this stretch road, and I think we all remember that year. But one of the things that really shocked me in that finding was 31% of the accidents was with drivers with impairment, either alcohol or drugs. So that is something I hope we all look forward, going forward, especially this legislature. Let's get the power and strength back to our police officers to have the ability to make their enforcements count and do their jobs correctly. As of right now, when they pull a person over, they see paraphernalia on the lane, on the dashboard or the center console, they're not allowed to do a search. And so we've got a lot of drunken drivers and a lot of drugs passing through our counties. So drugs are illegal. Alcohol and drunk driving has never been legal. I think we just need to increase that enforcement. ODOT and local police will be increasing presence in this section of 22 and 51, trying to slow the speed down. The average speed is 66 miles an hour now. And you can tell it's a whole lot faster than that when you go through, unless the tractor, and then it's just total chaos. So eliminating the left turn lanes is the whole focus on this whole project, even the safety things. Laying the left turn lanes is a key. But something I want to share with everybody, please, when you're driving this area, put your phones down, pay attention where you're going, slow down, and then don't take risks. If you give it just another 30-40 minutes, there will be a seconds. There will be a break in the traffic, you can safely get out of there and traffic unit. So thanks again for this night and having us on here.
Questions for the presenters tonight?
Yes,
Please do, Counselor.
you mentioned earlier, more illumination on that turn lane. Was that one of the solutions to help?
I think he said eliminate the turn lane, left turn lane.
Okay,
We just did an illumination project out there. Boy, I wanna say maybe 2 years ago, it completed. To light up that intersection with new LED lights.
Great, thank you. I have a question. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to step on you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. What was the percentage, thank you, what was the percentage of people who were impaired in the accidents?
31%
31%,
of the accidents.
that's
Thank you.
crazy.
That's crazy.
So, we really got, I agree with you, we need to put enforcement back in police officers' hands to stop that from happening. I think that's a really good solution to that. The other thing is, I know I mentioned this a few weeks ago on council about eliminating left-hand turn too. I just thought this was a great solution. Send it to you, not that you hadn't already thought of that, but another thing we can do, and I know that communication doesn't always work, but like I've lived in Independence my whole life. And I think people who live here their whole lives know not to turn left there. And so we go to Monmouth and we turn left that way. But I think if in the short term, we could get some communication out to people, you know, before, maybe it could save some lives just to educate people on, go to Monmouth and turn left on Highway 22 if you need to go that way. And maybe it will save some lives. So I appreciate all the work you've done for the solution, but maybe some communication will help as well.
That's great, thank you.
I'm gonna follow up with my question. Sanson, could you talk a little bit about the timelines related to this? You've made some suggestions about a flyover, an overpass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't speak transportation needs yet. Could you talk about what a kind of a timeline that is?
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's a little bit of a longer timeline. As Commissioner mentioned, our next steps are to go into the environmental assessment process to determine the impacts. And that's gonna be a year. I would say it'd be like 2 to 3 years before we'd be ready at the minimum to break ground on a flyover, assuming we had funding today. We would have to purchase right away, which is a 12-month process, but yeah, I would say probably anywhere from 2 to 3 years. Don't hold me to that.
Understood, and, I had mentioned in our previous conversation, I was gonna ask the following question. Has there been some suggestions for alternative, things of moving, looking at further, a little further west, where there are less, business interfaces? And, there's more green fields and then there's no hills that are able to slide. Could you talk about, what those possibilities are, aren't, or,
Yes, I'm not aware that we've, maybe commissioner's history would know the answer to this, that we'd ever thought about moving the intersection west or the interchange west. It impacts farmland and there's some issues sometimes with that. When you move a transportation facility to farmland, we run into land use issues. And so I'm sorry, Mayor, I don't have an answer for you. But I can do a little digging. And yes, you did call me and tell me you're gonna tell me that, and I forgot. But I can see if that's something we've looked at.
thank you, I do appreciate it, Councilor Morton.
One more question, is there any way that a stoplight could be put in there? I mean, that would be a shorter term, quicker solution to something.
Yes, on our FAQ, frequently asked questions, on our webpage, that was one of the questions, roundabouts and stoplights. And I think the concern with the stoplight was rear end collisions. But I'm gonna have to get back to you, because I have that sheet sitting right behind me, and I didn't bring it up here. So let me look at that, and then, I'll send something to the mayor about that.
Councilor Martin Wills.
And Mayor, as you mentioned, we don't speak transportation needs, and a lot of folks don't. So my assumption is when you talk about a flyover, we're talking about an intersection similar to what currently exists in London.
No.
No,
It was,
not everybody has a nifty little graphic
I
in front
know,
of them.
I brought some extras for those.
Well, I was thinking about like folks at home their own.
Oh, yes, thank you. I would say it's more like
1.2, I mean, 99.2.
Rick,
It'd be-
Real,
Yeah,
interchange.
yeah, simple and fast.
yeah,
It
Rick,
just
like,
doesn't have the complexity of what we've designed. It'd just be a simple 2-lane, very basic.
Great. Okay, I think we've got a lot of questions. We have a lot of other people who are gonna share the importance of this, because we want to make sure that everybody knows how important it is. I appreciate that you're willing to stay and listen, and thank you very much. Appreciate that.
thank you.
Our next person I'm gonna ask to speak is Kaiser Mayor Kathy Clark, followed by Dallas Mayor Ken Woods. Good evening, Mayor, and thank you for coming over.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me tonight. And my name is Kathy Clark. For the record, I'm the mayor of the city of Kaiser. And I'm also the chair of the Mid-Willamette Metropolitan Planning Organization, SCATS. I'm also the vice chair of our Mid-Willamette Valley Area Commission on Transportation. I'm also a member of the League of Oregon Cities Transportation Policy Committee. So I'm somewhat conversant in the language of transportation. I really appreciate you convening this time tonight and making sure we get the word out about what the needs are in our region. And this is a significant project for our region for the last several years. This is not a surprise, though, that we have to keep on punching when it comes to projects that are significant to our area. Salem-Keizer is the second largest metro area in Oregon, and oftentimes we are overlooked for the needs that we have, including transportation infrastructure. We have a significant economic force in our state, and we have to be recognized for that, but the only ones who are going to really speak up for that are us. And I think that this is a great way to get the word out and to continue to hold our state decision makers accountable, but also inform them about what's going on here. For too long, it's been Portland Metro as Eugene Springfield, and oh yeah, that space in between. Well, we are very significant, so thank you for making sure that we are speaking for ourselves. The transportation system that we build in this area needs to keep our economy strong, and it also has to protect the lives of the people who visit here, who live here, and work here. So where we're different from other regions, such as Portland Metro or Eugene Springfield, is that we have a very complex urban-rural interface. And I think that 2251 is a quintessential example of exactly that. We've got agriculture, you have tourism, you've got emergency vehicles, you've got day-to-day commuting going on, all in that same space, and a lot of complex movements, and we have the wonderful unpredictable weather of Oregon to go with it. So that was a space that was designed a long time ago, is inadequate for today's uses, and is certainly inadequate for today's volumes. And we also, thank you for bringing up the point about how people drive as well. So clearly, we need to take a hard look at 2251, and that is why this is a project that has been high on the list for the Mid-Atlantic Area Commission on Transportation. I don't live here, I don't live on this side of the river, I'm in Marion County, and I'm gonna be in there punching with you for this project. That's how we get things done in the Mid-Atlantic Valley. We get together and we recognize what our key priorities are. And another one coming up, bubbling up after that will be the Brook Lake interchange. We have a similar situation of a underbuilt, completely inadequate, failed interchange that we have people dying. And we have backups and all of the things that are, you know, detrimental to the health and safety and well-being of people and our economy. So all of us are here tonight, not just because Mayor McCardle is a very convincing individual, say, hey, come on down. We're here because we also respect the importance of this project and that you are going to be taking the lead on this, and we want to show our support. It takes a collaborative effort on the part of all of us here in the Mid-Atlantic Valley to speak for our projects. I'm very happy to be here tonight and let you know that I will be continuing to be a voice for this project, for your community, for our community in this area. I want to also talk about a couple things I heard in the previous exchange, and that was on enforcement. In our recent ACT meeting, we also got a report on fatalities and injuries, and over 30% of fatal or high injury crashes were caused by people either under the age of 25 or over 65. Some of the silver tsunami folks. I think it really speaks to the need for driver training to come back. That is a very inexpensive way to save lives and get people paying attention to the importance of how these machines that are operating at high speed and can do a tremendous amount of good or a tremendous amount of damage in a short period of time should be operated properly. So I'm glad to see we have a state representative here, and I think that's something we need to have a statewide conversation about, bringing that back to save lives, especially for our young people. And finally, when it comes to there was a question about directing traffic. There is a way to get a hold of Google and some of the other large IT, the ones that manage the mapping. And we've been able to do that sometimes and get them to direct traffic a little bit differently on their navigation apps. So maybe that suggestion can be made to people who are traveling in this area and don't know it very well. But all of these different pieces all go together. We do the short-term stuff, we do the mid-term stuff, we do the long-term stuff. Because each improvement that we make is going to make your community safer, our community safer, and our region much more welcoming to people coming to do work, to travel, and to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. We're next going to have Mayor Ken Woods of Dallas, followed by Representative Sharp. Good evening, Mayor. Thank you for being here.
Mayor McCardle, Independence City Council, thank you. My name is Ken Woods, I'm the mayor of City of Dallas. I've been on the city council in Dallas for 40 years. I was 10 when I started. And then I've been mayor for the last 2 years. A little bit of history, the Mid-Atlantic Area Commission on Transportation, or we call it MWAC, was the first act formed by the Oregon Transportation Commission in 1997. Is a project advisory to the Oregon Transportation Commission. I am the last charter member. As chair in the Willamette Valley Area Commission on Transportation, I've been the chair for a long time. Nobody else wants to do it. My area of responsibility is Highway 2251 and 99W. And the cities of Dallas, Independence, and Monmouth, so this is my area that I kind of work for you guys. The intersection of Highway 2251 continues to be one of the most dangerous intersections in Oregon. The history of serious accidents, including the recent fatality last month. This is a daily concern for many of our residents who pass through the interchange regularly for work, shopping, or tourism. 1997, the intersection 2251 was ranked as our 4th priority at the time. And 27 years later, it's still waiting to be funded. As chair of MWAC, I've been actively engaged for many years advocating for solutions to improve safety at this intersection. Despite being one of the top safety projects in the state since 1997, significant improvements are still projected to be 15 to 30 years away. I've always told people that I say we, this group in this room and the intersection, we are in everybody's way. They gotta go through us to get from Central Oregon to the coast and come back. The city of Dallas put together a resolution in collaboration with the city of Independence that was approved at last night's council meeting. The resolution calls for a stronger collaborative effort to find timely and cost-effective solutions to address the critically safety issues of the intersection. We need to keep the pressure on and continue to work together at all levels to accelerate progress. The safety and well-being of our community and everyone who travels through the intersection must be our shared priority. The city of Dallas encourages an aggressive, cooperative approach to explore and implement practical, cost-effective solutions that prioritize public safety, reduce accidents, and protect the lives of all who use these roads. So working together, we can find solutions that address the safety risks of this intersection and benefit the entire region. I urge ODOT and other stakeholders to prioritize this project and expedite the implementation of solutions that will protect lives and prevent further tragedies.
Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in tonight. Representative Sharp, followed by a representative representing Representative Evans. Good evening, Representative. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Mayor McArdle and City Council. For your record, my name is Anna Sharp, and I'm honored to serve as the state representative for House District 23, which encompasses parts of Polk County and Yamhill counties. I also represent the Bermuda Triangle of dangerous intersections in the state, one of which is the intersection of Highway 22 and 51. I was appointed in 2021, and Highway 22-51 intersection was a topic of conversation then, and here we are today, and it's still a topic of conversation, and very little has changed. All we've done so far is study and watch more fatalities and more accidents occur. As a commuter who drives that highway frequently to the Capitol, I can tell you firsthand I've witnessed many near misses and even a few accidents. As I pass the golf course on my way to Salem, I begin mentally preparing myself. Which lane do I want to be in? Who's coming in from Monmouth to merge? Who's coming in from Salem to turn to go to Independence? Who's coming out of that gas station? I'm preparing for a disaster, and all I'm doing is trying to get myself to work. However, drivers from outside of our area using Highway 22 to go to the casino, to go to the coast, to visit family in our area, they might not be as aware as I am of this intersection. Young drivers just starting out, or perhaps elderly drivers with slower reflexes, may not be as defensive as I am about this intersection. And frankly, they should not have to be. The state's about to complete $195 million worth of funding to build four roundabouts between Tumalo and Bend in Central Oregon. A quote out of the Bend Bulletin says that they will relieve congestion and improve travel times, safety and mobility for all modes of transportation. We're here tonight just asking for people to stop dying at an intersection. We're not asking to relieve congestion or make our commutes faster. But we struggle to get that solution to move along. I support the resolution that the city council will be passing later tonight. And I'm urging ODOT to please make this project a priority before more people unnecessarily lose their lives, have accidents, and impact our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative, I appreciate it. Now I have Jennifer Ranson Smith, who's going to be speaking on behalf of Representative Evans, followed by Western Oregon University Representative. Good evening and welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, for the record, my name is Jennifer Ransom Smith. I'm here on behalf of State Representative Paul Evans. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's great to see you all on this side of the dais this evening. Mr. Mayor, thank you for holding a hearing on the intersection of highways 22 and 51. Unfortunately, my teaching duties prevent me from sharing my thoughts in person, but I hope you will receive this letter in the spirit as intended, as an ally in the cause. For those of us who have lived in the community most of our lives, this is an issue that is both personal and prominent. Just recently, on my way to teach classes at Chemeketa, another large-scale accident occurred. From the scale of the response, it might have been a fatal event. What I do know is that the traffic problems caused by the accident might have made additional accidents more likely. It is an awkward space. It is a worsening health hazard because of the growing population within our regions. As a member of the legislature's Joint Committee on Transportation, I can tell you that our problem, sadly, is not an isolated one. Most dangerous intersections, dependent upon insufficient feeder networks, plague our state's rural roadways. We must take clear-eyed actions in the near and far term to resolve our problems and its consequences in lost lives from unnecessary automobile crashes. While I recognize the current proposal is likely too broad in scope and size for immediate investment, I earnestly hope that the group of decision makers you are bringing together may be able to reconsider the problem in a more scaled down, more sustainable manner. At present, the project cost of over $200 million makes near-term action very, very difficult, though not impossible. It does provide us with an opportunity to reflect upon the landscape of the challenges we face. I believe there is a pathway to mitigating the danger that is far less than the total project cost currently in discussion. We do not have to be bound by past decisions when building a future pathway. We could review speed, alternatives to a four-way direction intersection, and other technical options that may be possible. I know you and your team have been working with advisory boards, county staff, and engineers for years. Maybe a new technology has been developed to reduce the investment costs. Or perhaps it is time to reflect upon alternative sites for the highway intersections. Not long ago, there were discussions about moving the site to the west to the existing Greenwood Road location. It may be time to recognize the complexity of the issue and the need for comprehensive solutions. It may be time to recognize the value of moving the intersection farther away from the business district that has evolved along the corridor. Activities that often cause unanticipated interruptions to traffic patterns and convergence of flow associated with the entry and exits of vehicles into the area that increases relevant factors for east-west navigation. Truth be told, I do not have the expertise to make a popular suggestion for moving forward. What I can and shall continue to do is to fight for funding to address the problem from the legislature and to offer my assistance to your effort. In conclusion, I want to thank you and everyone who participated in the hearing tonight, again, for bringing increased awareness to the challenges we face. I am hopeful that together we can find a solution that increases the safety of our community. Please let me know what role you believe I can best play as we continue the journey towards a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to represent the representative while he's in his teaching duties. Next, we're gonna have somebody from Western Oregon. Is anybody from Central School District here? Okay, we're gonna have Western Oregon University and then followed by Wes Witowski from the Governor's Office Regional Solutions. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, and its members. I want to thank you for inviting us to voice our opinions on this and our concerns about the intersection. I have been a 17-year employee at Western and a student before that. I've been in the area for over 21 years and I know the concerns about that intersection. I remember when it was 99 had the same concerns, and that was a safety corridor for the whole area because of how many crashes were in that area. And we have such a our students, staff and faculty go through that area all the time. And our safety to our students, staff and faculty, our folks that go from Kaiser, Dallas, and get to join us, our students. And we just want to be able to protect our students and staff and faculty as much as we can. This is important to us. I know there's dollars and cents involved, but what is each life worth? We need to prioritize this project so that we can make sure that we as a community protect our communities within communities and our outreach in communities. So it not just touches this local area, but our folks from Kaiser, our folks from Dallas, all that, all of them. So I appreciate you inviting us and letting us be able to say our 2 cents about our safety of our students, staff, and faculty. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next is gonna be Beth Witowski from Regional Solutions of the Governor's Office, and then following that will be Scott Dadson from the Willamette Valley Council of Governments. Good evening, welcome to City Council.
Good evening, Mayor Ricardo and Council. The best thing I can offer for you tonight, is just encouragement to continue to reach out to state partners. I know that Mayor McCardle is an especially effective advocate, as you can see tonight from people showing up and previous projects he's been able to accomplish for his city. The local knowledge and experience shared tonight is something I'm gonna take back to our office to share with my colleagues so that other folks are hearing the intensity of the concern and the timeliness. I'm really pleased to see our state agency representatives here and just you have my continued offer to facilitate and convene conversations where that's going to be helpful. And remember that you have a partner in the governor's office.
I want to take a moment and thank you because I know that you put this issue of Highway 2251 in your statewide report from Regional Solutions. So because I know every legislator gets that report along with others around the state, and I really appreciate you spending considerable ink on with a lot of detail, and I really appreciate your willingness and your understanding as a former mayor has really been helpful in this. So thank you for your advocacy and your partnership in helping make sure that people in Salem think correctly.
Well, one last addition is to encourage both those sitting in front and those sitting behind me to advocate for those transportation dollars when we come into session. Obviously, the budgetary limitations are going to be a huge determining factor, not only in this, but in some of the other local projects mentioned tonight. So fighting for those dollars to be directed to ODOT and applied to projects can be really powerful, especially when you have moving local stories, longevity of concern and things like that. So just encourage you all to take a position of advocacy for that.
Thank you, appreciate that. Next is going to be Scott Dadson from the Willamette Valley Council of Governments, followed by Eric Anderson from SEDCOR. Good evening, Scott. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor McCardle, City Council. My name is Scott Edson. I'm the Executive Director for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. Housed within the COG, as our short-term name implies, is the MPO and MWAC. Our staff work with ODOT staff and representatives from all 3 counties, Yamhill, Marion, and Polk, that are part of our membership to prioritize projects, to prioritize information, and to assist our membership. I'm here tonight. Our board, the board of directors for the COG, has considered the 2251 intersection. It's now in the top 3 of our projects for this area and has consistently been there. It was in the top 4, it's in the top 3 now, because I guess Aurora Donald is finally moving along. But it is a great safety concern as well as an economic development concern for this area as well. I think the safety issue probably overrides everything. And that has always been the conversation with our board of directors, and so we support your efforts to get this there. Last week, maybe it was the week before, we actually spoke to the Transportation Committee of the legislature and committed this project to a priority status to be completed, as well as representation on the Oregon Transportation Committee. We think that our lack of representation in the three-county region kind of hurts us, especially when it comes to our, not only our projects, but our maintenance and ongoing concerns that we have in basically the second largest population in the state outside of the metro area. We have a lot of drive-through traffic. Our folks know that data much better than I do, but our board continues to support these projects, and we'll do so in our next slate. We host legislative coffees and gatherings, and we continue to bring this up as a priority for the Council of Governments for all three counties.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate you taking the time to come and represent the 43 member governments from Polk, Marion, and Yamhill County tonight at the Board of Directors.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Next will be Eric Anderson, followed by Polk County Sheriff Gardner. Good evening and welcome to City Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Big print and glasses. Mayor Cardle and City Council members, thank you for inviting me tonight. And for the record, I'm Eric Anderson, the president of SEDCOR, the Strategic Economic Development Corporation. On behalf of SEDCOR, I'm here in support of the continued collaborative efforts to improve the safety at the intersection of the State Road, Highway 22 and Highway 51. SEDCOR focuses on supporting and growing traded sector businesses in the Mid-Willamette Valley region of Marion, Polk, and Yamhill counties. Traded sector industries send product out of the region and bring capital in, providing significant economic development impact. The key industries on which we focus, which include advanced manufacturing, agriculture and food processing, and wood products, rely on a robust transportation infrastructure to bring raw materials and workforce to the facilities and to move production out to their markets. These businesses depend on a transportation infrastructure that allows for efficient and safe freight mobility to create jobs and to provide a high quality of life to their employees, our residents. Moreover, businesses value safe, desirable communities as locations for their investments. The intersection of highways 22 and 51 is widely recognized as a safety concern with a history of accidents and fatalities. SEDCOR employees travel through that intersection on their daily commutes. And their safe transportation between work and home is of paramount importance to my organization, SEDCOR. We support the continued collaboration and open dialogue between all the stakeholders to address the safety concerns at the intersection of Highway 22 and 51 in a timely and effective manner. Practical solutions to these concerns will benefit residents and businesses, not just from the immediate area, but from all around the Willamette Valley and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to come over here. Appreciate it. Next speaker is going to be Polk County Sheriff Gardner, followed by Dallas Fire Chief April Wallace. Good evening, Sheriff, and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I want to just give a little background in terms of the enforcement that law enforcement, at least the sheriff's office, takes on Highway 22. From Highway 99 to basically 3 miles on each side of Highway 51. We responded to 101 crashes in that stretch of Highway 22. None of those are fatal crashes because OSP, whenever there's a fatal crash, they do come for those. They don't have a dedicated trooper out in this area, and so a lot of the times, and those 101 crashes that we handled were our cases that we investigated. OSP wasn't involved. We did assist OSP with 78 different crashes in that same area as well. Some minor, some non-injury, but also in some of those are the fatal crashes. We did issue over 300 citations, again, from 99 to basically West Salem for calendar year up until August 31st. So that's the numbers for all those that we've been dealing with. We respond to all of those crashes, and I know working with OSP that they are trying to get staff and staff up to be able to have house that patrols on our side of the river. They're just not in a position to do that. And so we are taking more of that burden while the responsibility is theirs, but we're also taking that for as much as we can. I will say, it's unfortunate that I've been to so many fatal crashes. Specifically at Highway 51 or Duxbury in that area. And as law enforcement, we get a little bit numb to those types of things. And if there's any way that we can do something that would, bring awareness to the overall situation, I want to do that. I know that working with the OSP, they're going to work with us in the city of Salem. We're going to do high visibility type focus patrols from 51 to West Salem. I don't have a date on those, but those will be definitely publicized and that. So we are working together. That's all I have.
Thank you, Sheriff, really appreciate it.
Question for the sheriff. The issue with OSP not being staffed up enough, is it a problem of funding or is it not being able to recruit enough officers?
It is not funny. Yeah, it's not funny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker will be Dallas Fire Chief April Wallace, followed by Southwest Polk Fire Chief Fred Hurdle. Good evening, Chief. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I appreciate the invite. Being the fire chief of Dallas, our ambulance service area, was Highway 51 and 22 for a very long period of time. And I can tell you the impact of the incidents that have happened there have affected our staff as well as our volunteers. I'm here to support your initiative, and I appreciate you taking this issue very seriously. Not only does it affect people who travel that highway, but it also affects our first responders as well. Chief Saney has prepared a statement regarding the impacts to our volunteers and our emergency responders. So I'm just here to show support with your guys' concern for the safety of that intersection.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We appreciate the mutual assistance that we have with you folks. Next person is Southwest Polk Fire Chief Fred Hurdle, and following up with that is Polk 1 Fire Chief Ben Stanley. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, and city council members. My name is Fred Hurdle. I'm the fire chief of Southwest Polk Fire District. About 10 miles of Highway 22 falls both within our ambulance service area and within our fire district. There used to be a safety corridor from Salem to Dallas, and then now there's still a safety corridor from Buell to Dallas. Most of the crashes that we've gone to on the highway this year, about 30 in total, 4 of them have been at Highway 51 and 22. 5 of them have been at the Perrydale intersection, 2 at Kings Valley, and many others. All of the fatalities that we've experienced this year have been east of the safety corridor. So one option that you might consider is extending that safety corridor to include those areas. I listened to Representative Sharp give her description of how she drives that road. And I reflected on how I do the exact same thing. Prepare myself for entry into that intersection and east. And I do that with my family as my young family drives through there, and my wife. I express those same concerns as we drive into those intersections. Highway 22, my staff and myself respond to crashes out there regularly, and the experience that we have to deal with out there is not uncommon to what military sees in those world. And so we have seen some horrific things, as you can imagine, and we carry those throughout the rest of our lives. And I've been doing fire service for 37 years this year. And when I talk to people about what that means and what that has done to me as a person, being a firefighter, I tell them I've seen 1,000 dead bodies in my life. And most people, my wife included, saw her dog die the other day. That was the first thing she has ever saw die in her life. And so you reflect on that as you talk about this discussion and as you move forward. And it's something to be said to see a person's life exit them. And think about that and share that, because we have to live with that as responders on a regular basis. and not just in car crashes, but throughout many things that we do. So thank you for taking this on. I think it is a valiant effort, and I think if we all come together, we can find solutions for my responders, our citizens, and our
Thank you, Chief. You have a question?
Could you explain to us what it means to extend the safety corridor?
The safety corridor, as I understand it, starts in Buell, milepost 5 goes to 15. The deaths that we've experienced on the highway happen between 15 and Highway 51.
Does it give us any special, like, does it give like police officers or anything special that they would do in that area if we designate it as a safety corridor?
I think it does expand that. You would have to ask Sheriff Garden for that. And then I've got to applaud our county and ODOT. They have started a Highway 22 Safety Stakeholder Committee, which I represent Fire and EMS on. Commissioner Morhurst is on that, and Henson is on that, Sheriff Garden is on that. We talk about this regularly. And Highway 51 and 22 is just one of the intersections that is dangerous on this highway.
Chief, can you define what safety corridor means?
I cannot, I'm sorry.
Folks can do that for us a little bit later. Thank you, Chief. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in. Our final invited testimony tonight is Polk 1 Fire Chief Ben Stain. Good evening, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Chief Council. My name is Ben Stain, the Fire Chief of Polk County Fire District Number 1. This intersection is not in our primary response area. As Chief Hurdle said, this is Southwest Polk. However, you might get the impression that we all have to help out there. In fact, we just yesterday had a fire engine out there yesterday morning for a crash, so we all work together on this thing. Representative Sharp mentioned money. Of course, that's a big part of this. One of the things that was a little bit surprising to me when I started as a fire chief 8 years ago was how much of what we do is balance funds with our ultimate mission, and needing to compromise and say, you know, at some points, the convenience is nice, the fancy things are nice, but ultimately, you know, our mission statement is all centered around safeguarding and enhancing the quality of life. And so number one is preserving that life and prioritizing that. These crashes, they change people's lives, obviously forever. As a community, we experience them with sort of a progressive awareness and grief. Hopefully, when we hear about them, we get to experience that with some distance, with a little bit of time. Our first responders are not afforded that convenience. They show up to scenes with all kinds of things going on, all kinds of commotion, emotion, fear, being called for help, calling for more help, being asked to help somebody, saying they need to help somebody else, trying to get assistance. Their bodies kind of go into this mechanical thing, just knowing what it needs to do. Their minds go into autopilot and they're doing all their actions and doing what needs to be done until all of a sudden they might be all of a sudden snapped out of it by a patient or a family member who pulls up and they say, "How's my loved one?" And they snap out of it and realize what they're about to witness when they talk to this person who knows this individual that they've already made an ultimate decision about in this crash. Our first responders, they witness these tragedies with no distance, no time. All the immediate sights, the immediate sounds, the immediate smells, everything, all the emotions that they see, everything, everybody's going through, everything that the community is soon going to endure, they get all of a sudden immediately in a dose that impacts them all of a sudden and all at once. It's beyond what you can imagine experiencing. And so for our first responders, they kind of have two maps. When they're driving around, the first map is just like all of our maps, right? It's the map that you use to navigate to dinner, to church, to your kid's birthday party, and we traverse the same routes on that map. But what you'll find and what Chief Hurdle and Sheriff Garden and Chief Wallace all alluded to was there's this other map that first responders have. Many of them are volunteers in our community who are selflessly giving all the time. This other map is sort of one of those, I call it one of those transparencies that you put on the overhead projector in school. And that's a map that they also have to go through. And that map has all the clutter in it. All the sounds, all the smells, all the sights. Regardless of whether they're an emergency apparatus or they're in a vehicle with their family, they're driving through that layer every time they traverse those roads. It pains me to think about all the tragedy that our region has seen from this intersection. As a leader of an incredible group, community-oriented, selfless first responders, again, many volunteers, it's agonizing to know that their map is going to be continued to be more and more littered with this noise. What they will continue to drive through, they're calling it trauma extended throughout the community, but trauma that they're reliving, those things they can't forget. That this process is going to continue to repeat year after year is a prospect that as a leader, as an advocate, and on their behalf is very painful. And we need to address. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I want to take a moment and thank all the people who testified today and shared with us. You've done something important. You've let others know the stories have been shared. We've all had parts and parts, but now they've been shared and more people know. And more people will know because of the stories that you've shared that this is important. And I want to thank people who took the time to come, who shared important personal stories, because I can tell that this is touched. And other people that represent other organizations will go back and carry those messages forward. And you've made a difference tonight. And I want to thank each and every one of you for doing that. Council members, we have a resolution. It's the only thing that we can do. But at this point, what we call attention to this, and I appreciate a motion to approve.
I move to adopt resolution number 24-1618.
And I second that.
I have a motion to second. Is there further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carried. Thank you again for coming. This made a difference. We're gonna take a 10-minute recess. So we can get up and visit with each other, because I think there's some connections that people would like to make. And then we'll get back to the rest of our agenda. So we're in recess for 10-ish minutes. Thank you. Just smiling myself in every place like here. Karen says we're ready. So we're back in session. I want to thank council again for really appreciate taking the time to hear that. I think we've made a difference. So going on, we're on number 4 with our minutes. We have minutes in front of you from September 10, both the regular meeting and the planning work session. They're in your packet. Are they okay to meet with your rules?
The only thing I saw that I think maybe could be added is when we discussed the Highway 5122 in our last meeting. I mentioned the fact that maybe we could have a communication blitz about safer turns or safer roads to go on, and that wasn't written. But other than that, I think that's it.
I don't think the minutes for the last meeting are in.
Yeah, this is just for September 10th.
Oh, I must have read it.
Okay. So somebody will move approval, please.
Move to approve minutes, 9/10/2024.
Second.
The motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Under visitor comment, I have Evan Source wishing to speak to us. Just a reminder that this is one-way communication from the public to the council. We're not engaged in conversation. We are just listening. There's a 5-minute limit. Good evening and welcome to council.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of the city council, the record, my name is Evan Source. I live on 1126 South 8th Street here in Independence. And I just wanted to talk really quickly about this wonderful event that happened on Saturday known as the Ghost Walk here in town. I wanted to thank Councilor Morton for years of leadership for the Ghost Walk. Thank you to the mayor and to everyone on the council who I saw at the event. I had the lucky pleasure of sharing the story of Lorona, also known as Lenora's ghost, during the Ghost Walk. And every time we started the story, I asked how many new people, how many folks who were visiting, is this your first time at our Ghost Walk? And every time, about 60 to 75% of the folks in the crowd, this was their first time. So it was a wonderful event. And the museum hot dog stand raised quite a bit of money. So it was a win-win, and I just wanted to thank you all for your continued support of the Ghost Walk as well as the museum. And and publicly also thank the Heritage Museum Society for their work to help support the Ghost Walk and make it happen again. So thank you so much for your time and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Moving forward, I will give you a little bit of my mayor report. Since we last met, had the opportunity for the Mid-Willamette Valley Mayors Coalition get together in Jefferson. This is a group that Paul Evans, when he was mayor of Monmouth, and I started a long time ago in the last century. And we've had mayors from Marion, Polk, and Yamhill County. We talked about budget challenges, local projects, and about letting our state and federal folks know what we are working on so that we can try to access additional resources. Obviously, I spent some time working on getting our partners here tonight to speak to us, and it was really gratifying personally to see how many of our partners showed up. I will be attending the upcoming League of Oregon Cities Board of Directors meeting, where we will formalize the statewide priorities based upon the votes of the cities. That each city gets one vote, and so we've already set in our priorities, and so we'll see what the total is. There is going to be serious discussion on the direction that the state and cities moving forward after the grants pass decision. What the legislature is asking, what are we gonna do? And other cities around the state are going, what are we gonna do? And so there's gonna be some discussion about which directions moving forward. And then finally, next week I will be presenting at the League of Oregon Cities Conference. They've asked me to speak about working with state and federal officials and agencies and what my recommendations are for that. I now turn it over to Ms. West for city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be a little bit short tonight. We've already had a long night, but an excellent night. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing everyone together. C Street is, and much of this you've already heard, so I'm just updating you. C Street is just almost done. It's close to done. And we're pretty excited to have it done. The contractor will complete the punch list for the next couple of weeks, which is the final step in that project process. It's very minor according to Gerald, and you all know Gerald, so he says it's minor, it's really minor because he makes sure that everything is done perfectly if possible. We did have a question that I think is important to share with our community, so everybody has the same information. The contractor used the extra gravel to put it in the alleys, and a part of the contract requires that they replace the pavement in the trenches and the pipe work only. But the contractor went a little above and beyond and put the gravel down into the alleys to it just looked nicer and easier to drive on. Gerald's gonna ask them to compact it. There was some question about can our disabled community get through the gravel? So they'll be compacting that to make it a little easier access. But we were quite pleased that they took that opportunity to do more than they asked and actually a little more than we paid for. So we were very pleased with that contractor. My staff and I are working to coordinate another work session regarding our unhoused Vestagon camping. We're having some trouble coordinating calendars, so we're looking at November or December. I know this is a priority, but there's going to be a lot of people involved and a lot of work for us to do to bring everything up to speed with the changes in the laws and the statute that the mayor was talking about. So we're looking November to December. I'll keep everyone updated. You may hear this at each meeting because I know it's a priority for you in our community. Another thing I want to make sure that our community knows, and I know you're aware of this, but our infrastructure, similar to that of most cities in Oregon, is aging and we're having trouble keeping it sustainable for the future. So we're upgrading it as we have the funds. One of those upgrades include new water meters, and with upgrades, there's always a few bumps in the road. We had a few bumps in the road with installing the new meters, and it showed up as significant increases in billed water consumption. We have put out an FAQ or information on the website that clarifies what happened and why. It didn't affect everybody, it affected just a few people. We did reach out to everyone, and it is now on the website. I'm going to remind everyone that this Thursday is the second in the community talks events. At 9 a.m. I'll be at Brew on Thursday, and at 6 p.m. I'll be at Golden Hawk. I really enjoyed the community coming out to talk to me last time, and I'd love to see more this time. And then Sunset Park, the grand reopening is October 29th at 4 p.m. These are preliminary flyers. I'm going to set them right there so that anybody who would like can grab them. It's going to be pretty incredible. Really excited by the park. It has taken a community to bring this park together. So October 29th, 4 p.m. More information coming. We'll push it out on Facebook. We'll push it out on our website. We'll do all the things. But this is a preliminary flyer. We're very excited about this.
Thank you, appreciate that, and I will add, related to gravel. They also re-gravel parts of Pioneer Park, and as a person, we both walk our dogs in there, and it was very nice, they did a nice job, it needed to be done, so I really appreciate that. Council announcements.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on some earlier comments. We are, as a community, so very grateful for the volunteers that help with the Ghost Walk. It takes almost 60 volunteers working all year long to get that event going. And it was, we only missed one person because our poor skeleton that stands on C Street and Main Street got bronchitis and the skeleton couldn't come. But otherwise, it was a perfect evening, great weather, and we had about 2,000 people downtown, but it could not happen without volunteers.
And it could not happen without somebody driving this, Marilyn, and, we appreciate your continued passion and energy, and, it's a lot of fun. If there's nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.
Great job.